recovery efforts and all that that entails in the darkness in Minneapolis tonight. There is still a lot to cover. It is now 11 o'clock on the East Coast in the United States. It is 10 o'clock in Minneapolis. It is 8 o'clock here in California. There is much to tell you about. 6 people are confirmed dead tonight in Minneapolis in what the governor calls a catastrophe of historic proportions for that state. This will be a tragic night before it is over. Mayor R.T. Ryback said just about 45 minutes ago. It is already a tragedy in homes and living rooms across Minneapolis as people are watching transfixed literally around the world, watching right now. Here is what we know. This bridge was inspected last in 2005 and 2006, according to Governor Tim Pawlenty. No structural deficiencies were reported at those times, according to the governor. The deck was said to be needed rehabbing perhaps by 2020, but according to the governor, no structural deficiencies. All survivors who were on the bridge have now been taken off the bridge. The bridge has so far been cleared, but structural engineers from the Army Corps of Engineers, as well as local and state officials, are trying to examine parts of the bridge to see if they can still send in some rescue workers, because there are still areas of the bridge, there are still vehicles that have not been searched. So at this point, it is not clear that all the people who were on that bridge have been accounted for. For a sense of what it was like being on that bridge, because as we know, this was a rush hour incident. There were anywhere from 50 to 100 cars on that bridge, according to one early report. We don't have an official number at this point, but many of those cars we have not heard directly from people who were on the bridge as much. Here is one eyewitness, a person who was on the bridge and who feels very lucky to be alive tonight. Let's listen. It is an audio tape made.
Half the bridge is in the lake in Mississippi River. Half of it is on the ground, and I fell probably about 30, 40 feet. Landed on the shore of the Mississippi. I'm so lucky to be alive. On the way down, I thought I was dead. I literally thought I was dead. My truck was completely face down, was pointing towards the ground, falling towards the ground, and my truck got ripped in half. When I got over my truck, it was folded in half, and I can't believe I'm alive. The reason was because I was wearing my seatbelt. I had my seatbelt on, and if I didn't, I don't know what would have happened. I probably would have went through the windshield. I'm lucky I only have a cut on my face from the steering wheel.
Now, Gary, you said that when you fell, you saw other cars, you saw other people in the water.
Yeah, there was. I saw a tanker go head first into the water, and it was only about 5 feet of the back end that's showing out of the water. No, that's actually off farther on the bridge. I was down towards the water more, and the car that's on fire, they're lucky. They fell about 10 feet, and that might be the school bus. It was actually we ran up the inclined fallen bridge, and there was a school bus full of probably 8 to 14-year-olds, and we literally had to carry them off of the bridge.
And you had time to see this because you said you were only going less than 10 miles an hour.
It was bumper-to-bumper traffic. We're probably going 10 miles an hour. There was a lot of cars on that bridge.
That from a man who was on the bridge at the time of the collapse. We've been getting a lot of iReport images, people sending in pictures from camera cell phones. I want to show some of them to you now, just giving different perspectives on what individuals have seen all across this span of the Mississippi River. This again happened at around 6:05, almost exactly 4 hours ago. These are just some of the iReport pictures, but authorities are telling people who may want to go to the scene, please do not stay away from the scene at this point. They are very concerned about the security of this whole area, the perimeter around here. The last thing they need is more people going down there and try to take pictures with their cameras and their cell phones. These pictures were taken much earlier today by people who happened to be on the scene or very close to the scene when this happened. Ian Punnett of a local radio station, FM 107, is on the scene, has been on the scene for quite some time now. Ian, you were talking about what you were hearing from those who were on the bridge. You talked to a dozen or so, you were saying, people who had been on the bridge, or half a dozen or so. What have they been telling you? How did they describe it?
Well, Anderson, I've moved to another area. Now I'm on the east side of the recovery effort, and I'm just pulling into an area that the police are waving me into. what I can see and what I can tell you is anybody with a cell phone camera was not going to see much anyway at this point. I mean, it's dark. Even the lights, the emergency lights, aren't illuminating much. And what we're hearing, again, more survivor stories, people, in some cases, one woman who just returned to the scene. She was there earlier, and it's almost like she's coming back to process what she had experienced personally earlier. I only overheard part of her conversation before I started to move, but she was telling people what it was like to walk off that bridge and to look behind and expect it to collapse behind her at any second. And she was just glad that she got back onto the bank of the Mississippi.
As we look at these pictures, Ian, it is just, it is surreal. After a while, they seem to become normal. You have to sort of shake your head and remind yourself what you are looking at. This is an interstate, a highway, a bridge that has simply collapsed, 4 lanes at rush hour, plunging people into the river. An untold number of people. Ian, stay by with us. Brad Walton of WCCO AM Radio News is on the line with us. They are reporting 40 to 60 people hurt, 6 dead, but very possibly those numbers will rise. Brad, what's going on? What are you hearing?
Well, I'll tell you, as you're talking about the pictures there, Anderson, the images here are even more riveting. I was on this bridge 24 hours just before the collapse yesterday. My daughter was on the bridge actually at 3 this afternoon, 3 hours before the collapse. And, you know, we understand now there are about, well, the reports here from the Coast Guard, about 50 cars in the river, and somewhere between 40 and 60 injured, and 6 confirmed fatalities right now, and that is anticipated to be maybe to go higher. But it's really
anticipated
miraculous at this point. The numbers are what they are, considering what happened.
Yeah, you say anticipated to go higher based on what they're still finding at the scene, or based on what other area hospitals have yet to report?
My guess is probably a bit of both. I mean, I don't think all the recovery work is done, and I think at this point, because you know, we had just a short time here really before nighttime fell, some of the recovery in terms of just getting all the details with regards to the number of vehicles that may yet be found, or whether that's under the rubble or actually in the river itself.
Yeah, it's not clear to me, and I don't know if it's clear to you, Brad, at this point. The mayor had talked about 50 vehicles have so far been searched. We had also heard this report about as many as 50 vehicles in the water. I'm not sure if they have searched all the vehicles in the water. Do you know that?
No, I don't have a report on that. I know they're still actively in the water looking for other vehicles, and the search and rescue continues. They have helicopters above the scene that are shining their floodlights down, and then the Coast Guard is down there with their boats. So because of the amount of material that fell, I think that's why they're still wondering about the number in terms of the fatalities, and also in relationship to whether or not all the vehicles that may have gone into the water have been accounted for yet.
Brad, we appreciate your talking with us. We'll check in with you again as the evening progresses. Our coverage is going to continue for at least another 2 hours live. There is a lot to talk about in these hours ahead. It is an overwhelming disaster scene. The U.S. Coast Guard has told CNN that between 30 and 50 cars are in the water. The city officials had told us as many as 50 cars were in the water. Pete Gannon joins me now. He trains rescue divers. Pete, this is now a recovery rather than a rescue. It has made that terrible transition. At this point, what are the divers trying to do in these dark waters?
Well, the first problem they're going to have is the contamination. There's a severe contamination problem where you've got gas, you've got oil, you've got other body fluids in the water, plus the water itself that's contaminated. These are the problems that the divers are going to face at night. They're used to diving in dark water, so they're not, that's not going to be a big problem for them. However, the sharp metal of the vehicles, the sharp metal of the bridge, all those obstacles that they're going to face underwater is going to make it extremely hazardous. I was watching one picture of somebody trying to bounce dive with a rope tied around them, which, you know, is pretty extremely dangerous. If the rope gets hung up, they're not going to be able to get back to the surface. So the divers who are trained to do this need to be extremely careful and use good judgment. I'm sure they are. We've trained several teams from that area, and they're all excellent divers and excellent team members. And I'm sure they're using the best judgment and being as careful as they can to avoid anything sharp that they're going to get injured on. The last thing we want to do is injure another diver or another victim or have any other more accidents out there on the scene.
Literally, that you were describing the picture we're looking at now. This young woman who has a rope, essentially, that's all tied to her waist, and is just taking a breath of air, diving into the water, looking into vehicles. You're saying that is extremely dangerous?
Yes, it is. It's extremely dangerous to do that type of dive. If that rope gets caught on something underwater, she might not be able to make it back up. She's got a PFD on, which makes it difficult to get down in the first place, but you know, we need to be careful about that. She's doing the best she can under the circumstances, but you know, that's what the divers are there for, and they've got a lot of them. The departments have to make sure that everybody has their standards and follows their standard operating procedures. A lot of
Absolutely.
Mutual aid comes in. You get a lot of mutual aid from other departments, and they have to be scrutinized as to what exactly their skills are. Not all teams have all the same skills.
And just in terms of difficult jobs, I can't think of something that's got to be a more difficult and unpleasant task to be, diving under the water in the dark and opening up a car door, and what one must see as a diver is just it's hard to believe.
Well, you don't really see much at all, even with lights. They don't really help. The biggest problem you have is everything's dark. The metal, as you can see, the vehicles are all banged up. So the divers have to actually feel their way around the vehicle, determine if it's upside down, right side up. Is the victim inside? Are they in a seatbelt? Not in a seatbelt? They're dealing with some current down there, so they have to worry about debris floating downriver. They've got a lot of different things to worry about. It's not a matter of what you can see. With public safety divers, they're doing it all by feel. They're actually using their hands to actually feel around, and they have to be able to feel for that body. And that's what public safety divers do. That's what they train for, and that's what they do.
In your experience, how long can somebody survive in a car that has been submerged? Is there a window of time?
Well, there's that myth that we see a lot in the movies about the air pockets, and in reality, there is no air pocket. There's extremely rare, and that's if the car's not submerged all the way underwater. But if the car's submerged underwater, there's really not going to be an air pocket in the car. So that kind of myth is gone. You do have cold water up there, and anything less than 70 degrees, you have up to a 1-hour window, and they're trying to extend that to make it 90 minutes to revive somebody that's been underwater for 60 to 90 minutes to resuscitate them without any brain damage. And that's the new goal, and the new medical ethics are going that way.
And when the number that we are hearing is there are at least some 50 vehicles in the water, they're fully submerged or partially submerged. How long does it take to actually thoroughly search a vehicle underwater?
It can take about 15 minutes to search the vehicle, but then you need to search around the vehicle. If the victim was injured and they got out, or the victim got out of their car and could not swim. If they can't swim, they can't get to the surface, and they'll end up drowning next to their car. So we have to do the cursory search around the vehicle.
Is that common, that people get out of the vehicle but then expire in the water?
Yeah, about 50% of the time. They may be able to get out of the vehicle, but their injuries preclude them from swimming or getting to safety. And it could be, in this particular incident, it looks like there's a straight seawall. So if they did get out, they'd have to swim somewhere to be able to get out of the water. So, and maybe bystanders could help, having a throw line that could help just to hold them to the fire department or the police department or sheriff's department arrives on scene.
Well, Pete, I appreciate your expertise. You trained a lot of divers, and our hearts go out to all the rescue personnel who are on the scene, trying to do the best they can in very difficult circumstances. It is dark now. There's limited lighting on the scene, and there's a lot of debris in the water, a lot of jagged concrete and twisted metal. Very dangerous for divers in the water right now. Pete explaining some of that. I appreciate that, Pete. Just moments ago, that we found something interesting on the Star Tribune website, the local newspaper. It was a link to a report from 2001 by the Minnesota Department of Transportation that warns a collapse like what happened today could take place. Here's what's in this 2001 report. Quote, concern about fatigue cracking in the deck truss is heightened by lack of redundancy in the main truss system. Only 2 planes of the main trusses support the 8 lanes of traffic. The truss is determinate and the joints are theoretically pinned. Therefore, if one member were severed by a fatigue crack, that plane of the main truss would theoretically collapse. Now, we don't know if steps were taken to address those concerns. We're trying to find out more information about that report, which was from 2001. We do know tonight Governor Pawlenty saying bridge passed inspections in 2005 and 2006, and saying that there were no structural problems on that bridge. No structural deficiencies were reported. We're going to continue to invest that, and obviously something we'll hear a lot about in the days ahead if it bears any relationship to what occurred today. The pictures of the school bus on the bridge will no doubt be indelible reminders of what happened. Luckily, those children survived. All the kids on the bus escaped, some 60 children in all. Tony Wagner joins us now. He's president of the Pillsbury United Communities, a large social services organization in Minneapolis. They organized the trip that the kids were taking. Mr. Wagner is with us on the phone. How are the kids tonight?
Most of them, I think, are with their parents and doing okay. We have about 10 people in the hospital yet. And we don't.
Do you have any sense of their conditions?
Well, the only one I know fairly certain about is our staff person who apparently has a fractured lower back. And my understanding is he's the most seriously injured.
Who are the kids? Where were they going?
They're kids that are part of our White House youth program. And it being a nice hot summer day, they had organized a trip to a local recreational water park, and they were returning from that park.
And what ages of kids were on the bus?
Roughly 5 to 14.
Wow. It's remarkable that they were all able to get off. Do you know, have you heard any accounts from any of them or from any of the counselors about how they were able to get off the bus?
Well, I spoke at length with one of our part-time youth workers, a young man named Jeremy Hernandez, and he was there and indicated that there was a lot of panic. There was apparently two stages to the fall, and according to him, it was just chaotic and people screaming. But he managed to get the back door open and was hustling kids and everybody out, handing them to people down below. They were able to apparently walk off the bridge.
There was obviously a tractor trailer to the left of the school bus that was on fire. We had seen that the front of the tractor trailer was on fire. So clearly a very smart move from Jeremy Hernandez to open that rear door and help get all those kids off. You say that he talked about sort of 2 stages to the fall. Did he go into any detail about that?
No, he just said it felt like they were falling and it stopped and then they fell again. So that's all I know.
Tony, I know it's been a terrible day for you. I'm glad that all your kids are safe. We continue to pray for their recovery. There's some 10 kids in the hospital right now, as well as some counselors. Tony Wagner, thanks for joining us. There's going to be plenty of sad days ahead. The pictures make that plain. So do the stories which are now coming out from survivors. Let's listen to some of them.
I got a call from my fiance. We were watching a movie back at our house, and she said that her cousin was on the phone with her, and she said that the bridge was collapsing she was on, and she had to go. And we can't get a hold of her anymore, and we're just trying to find out if she's okay or what's going on, but we're pretty sure she was on the bridge when it was collapsing.
There were a lot of kids that were hurt. There was a guy who his car had fallen in. He said his truck had split in half, and he was bloody, his nose was bloody, and he was pretty shaken up. And there were a lot of kids that were, you know, hyperventilating, bloodied up.
There's a group of kids that were pulled off, and they were crying when we came down. They were just getting pulled out, and it just doesn't seem, I mean, it's a horrible situation, and you want to stay out of the cops' way and let them do their job. But at the same point in time, you want to find out, is the person that I care about all right? I mean, are they hurt? I'd be happy just to know she's hurt right now, because that way I know she's alive and they know where she's at. But
just some of the eyewitnesses, some of the people who were on the bridge or near the area. More now on the bridge in question, the construction, the lane closures, and anything else that engineers will be looking at as they try to figure out exactly what caused this. 360's Tom Foreman is trying to look into that right now. He joins me now. Tom, what have you found out?
Anderson, let's just get a sense of what we're talking about and the pressure on this bridge to begin with. Here we have the state here with Minneapolis right here. Let's zoom in a little bit and show you about the pressure on the bridge. About 200,000 people a day using this bridge to go back and forth. A lot of it traffic between Minneapolis over on this side and St. Paul over here. You have a university area here. You just saw the Metrodome where the Twins play over there. So this is a heavily traveled area. But here's an important thing to consider in all of this. Several of the eyewitnesses tonight have talked about a 2- or 3-stage collapse, where they've said they've had one part of the bridge collapse, then the next part, and then the next part. That's going to be important as they try to piece together what happened, because you may have seen in that image just a moment before, right above this bridge is a dam with a lot of water flowing from that dam by the base of the bridge. Well, there was a study by the American Society of Civil Engineers just a few years ago of more than 500 failures of bridges over the past, a little bit in the 1990s roughly, and more than half of them were caused by a significant erosion around the pilings and on the bases of these bridges that weakened the bridges in some fashion. They haven't had...
Tom, I have to jump in here. There's a press conference about to go on. Let's go to that.
That there was at least 50 vehicles, probably much more than that, on the bridge at the time of the collapse. We transported over 60 people to area hospitals. That number we expect to go up. At this point, we have 7 confirmed fatalities, and we expect that number to go up as well. Right now on the scene, we've ceased river operations for the evening. It's too dark. There's too much debris in the river to continue in the river tonight. We will at first light be back in the river working again. And that is several agencies, the fire department, the sheriff's department, and other agencies with river assets and divers. We are continuing some operations on the bridge itself. There again, we're winding those down. We've moved from a rescue mode just in the last several minutes to a recovery mode, which means we're going to be very careful not to hurt any rescuers or any other people working at the site. And we're going to continue to operate in that mode through the evening and through the day tomorrow. With that, I'm going to pass it to Chief Lubinsky.
I'm Sharon Lubinsky, Assistant Chief of Minneapolis Police Department. First of all, we are working hand in hand with our partners from the fire department on this incident. And we also have a number of partners from other law enforcement agencies in the state and the county helping us, and we appreciate that. 2 things I want to mention is that for those who are wondering about friends or relatives, we have a gathering at the Holiday Inn Metrodome for those who are looking for information on possible survivors or someone involved in this incident, and we have put that information out. The second thing looks forward to tomorrow morning in terms of coming in and going out of downtown Minneapolis. We are working on a transportation plan right now that will assure access into and out of downtown Minneapolis for tomorrow. We will be posting that on the City of Minneapolis website along with other information that we are providing, like the Red Cross number for other outstate relatives of possible people involved. So please look at the City of Minneapolis website. We encourage anyone who is going to be coming into downtown Minneapolis tomorrow to absolutely avoid the area, be considerate of those who were involved in this incident, be considerate of the rescuers that are going to be at the scene tomorrow, and also just please take your time, use patience, and be considerate of everyone there.
Good evening. I'm Ted Canova with the Twin Cities Red Cross. Our hearts go out to everybody affected by this tragedy. We were able to watch firsthand the heroism, but also the cooperation and the partnership of a lot of agencies in the Twin Cities tonight. I think people at home should be proud of the response that folks around me and the people who report to them turned in tonight and are still turning in. Twin Cities Red Cross, fortunately, had a plan. We were ready. We housed the 60 kids from the school bus and gave them comfort in the immediate moments after the emergency. We gave them mental health counseling when they needed it. We passed on maybe a dozen of 60 kids to the hospital, and we were there waiting as families came down to the Twin Cities Red Cross chapter headquarters at a time where the families were reunited with at least 40 or 45 kids. As I say, we were ready. Our blood supply is in good shape, but it's only because people have donated in the past, and I don't think that the Twin Cities community should take this lightly. While we may be ready in that regard, we always need to collect for the next one. And we are being inundated at the Twin Cities Red Cross from everybody asking what can they do, which isn't unusual in an emergency like this. The generosity of the Twin Cities is second to none, we all know. And I just wanted to give some information in case people had the inkling to contribute in some way, to donate blood or to donate money. They can go to our website, which is redcrosstc.org, or they can call our donation hotline, which is 612-460-3700. Again, it's with heavy hearts that we even share this information, but the better we're prepared, the better we can serve the public in times like this. Thank you.
Can you touch on the telephone number for family members to call?
Yes. Again, we wanted to streamline the information, the places to call. The City of Minneapolis website is a great clearinghouse. The Twin Cities Red Cross website also will have all the information for folks to call. Our homepage is being updated every 10 minutes, so it's got the latest information for folks, whether you have a loved one involved in this tragedy or just need other information.
Chief, can you talk a little bit about what that recovery effort will entail tomorrow morning, first light?
Well, when we move from a rescue to recovery mode, we want to search every void space. When you have a collapse of freeway spans like this, there's a lot of void spaces that are hard to get into, and we don't want to get into those spaces until it's safe to do so. So what that means is we'll be slowly, along with engineers, structural engineers, letting us know when it's safe and where it's safe to go to get into those void spaces and make sure that we've looked everywhere.
What is it's at this point still too early to tell what happened? Is there any inkling as to how this happened?
No, I think what's going to happen, and I know what's going to happen starting tomorrow, is federal, state, and city experts are going to be looking at this span of bridge to make that determination. It's way too early for us to speculate. It is a total collapse of a significant section of the freeway. And so there was something went wrong, and we're going to get to the bottom of what happened. We just don't know yet tonight what that was.
What is the likelihood you would be able to locate any more survivors at this hour?
The likelihood goes down at this point. We've been where we think survivors could be so far. It is possible that throughout the night and tomorrow we may locate somebody else that is a survivor, but the likelihood is getting fairly slim.
What is going on as far as checks of other bridges at this hour?
I just actually talked with the Public Works Director from Minneapolis, and that is a concern, especially downriver. When you have a collapse like this, some of the material will flow downriver, and so they are looking at bridges downriver to make sure that the piers and those things are safe for operations.
Chief Lubinsky, can you give us an idea how you basically reached the conclusion that it does not appear to be terrorism at this point? Are there certain things that you'd expect to see right away that you didn't see that would get you at this point?
Sure, I think we had our own Homeland Security people on scene almost immediately, and we are in contact with other agencies who, along with Chief Clack, are doing an examination of some of those bridges. So we had no indication that anything like that was involved, but we're also double-checking and triple-checking to make sure.
So it appears to be a structural problem at this point?
As best we can tell, but it's way too early to say.
Any update on the construction workers, how many there were and how many have been accounted for?
We actually don't know that yet. What we do know is the numbers I gave you earlier. We have 7 fatalities, and we know that we've transported over 60 people to area hospitals, to the University of Minnesota Hospital, Hennepin County Medical Center, and North Memorial. And we don't have any information on the condition of those people. We're going to have to leave it to the hospitals to get you that. As far as how many construction workers or even how many cars were on those spans, we just don't know that yet.
What was the number 50 that was thrown out earlier before? The number of cars that...
Correct. We estimated that from the top, from the command center, we could see 50 vehicles. It wasn't all cars. There were some other types of vehicles. There was a semi-truck, at least one semi-truck, a bus, some panel trucks, different kinds of vehicles. It wasn't all cars. That's what we could see. We have a feeling that there's several more vehicles in the river that we haven't found yet.
So is there 50, I'm sorry, is there 50 on the bridge after the collapse?
That's an estimate. We haven't made a physical count of them. I do want to...
There was some concrete work being done. Have you been able to rule out that the work that was done was kind of superficial, didn't involve the structure of the bridge? That did not cause this collapse?
We don't know that. There was construction, repair work being done on this span of the freeway, and that had just begun a few weeks ago and was scheduled to continue throughout the summer. We don't know if that had a contributing factor to this collapse or not. It's just way too early to tell.
It mentioned some joint work. I'm not sure if that means superficial or...
Yeah, I can't tell you. I'm not an engineer.
Were all the lanes open at the time of the collapse?
No, there was 2 lanes open in each direction. The outside lane and going both ways was blocked off for construction. I do want to say that we had a great response from our mutual aid partners, and our emergency operations plan here in Minneapolis, which we've exercised numerous times, came in very handy and worked really well tonight. I think that I'm very proud of my folks and all the other agencies that have worked on this event so far. It's went very, very well, better than any other large-scale emergency I've been involved with. And so I think citizens should take comfort in knowing that here in Minneapolis and in the metro area, we do have good plans in place, and when things like this happen, we step up, and it's really been successful so far.
Can you talk more about how treacherous it is for the rescue workers to get down there and in all these spots, and how uncertain the place is at this point?
Yes, we have several what we call technical rescue teams that are specially trained in building collapse and in this kind of emergency. And those folks have the training and the tools to safely enter areas along with structural engineers. We're always looking for professionals to give us an opinion on whether a space is safe to enter. So those technical rescue people are still operating on site. Most of our structural firefighters, the less trained firefighters, are either in staging or have actually left the scene because there's not a lot of work to do anymore outside of these void spaces.
Chief, just one more question about the construction. I know you say you're not an engineer, but looking at how much work has been done on that bridge this summer, is there any indication that work over the months that we've seen would have led to structural or some sort of problems with the bridge?
I can't tell you. I don't know.
Did you consider postponing the Twins game?
I don't have the information about the game tomorrow. I did hear in the center that it had been canceled.
Tonight's game,
Tonight's game, from what I understand, is still going on.
Yes.
So we do have evacuation routes, and maybe I'll let Chief Lubinsky talk about that for the game.
For the Twins game tonight, we were in communication with Metrodome personnel and provided some routes for the folks to leave that would really get them out of town and not hinder with any of the perimeter for the scene itself. So that's been communicated with the Metrodome. I fully expect that to go well.
When will the alternate routes be available on the web? Tonight or tomorrow?
We don't know at this point. It'll be, I would say, check for those listening and watching. Check the City of Minneapolis website as early as you can tomorrow morning. And again, just encourage folks to take their time, spend a little time trying to get in.
Can you please give that web address so people have it as they're watching right now?
The City of Minneapolis website is www.ci.minneapolis.mn.us. And I would check in the morning, not this evening. We'll have that information as soon as we have it available.
Those who've been injured and transported, do you know where they've been found? Are they, most of these people been on the bridge, under the bridge, in cars, swept downstream? Any idea of kind of where they've been found, rescued?
Most of the people that we rescued from the scene were rescued in the first hour, and they were on top of the bridge or else away from the bridge they had self-evacuated. So those people, we had to put up ladders to get to certain sections of this bridge because it had collapsed in such a way that it was hard to get to. But most of those victims came off the top of the bridge.
How about in the water? How many were in the water?
I don't know how many actually were pulled from the water.
Chief, is there any way to look at this and guess just how long that could potentially take to deal with this catastrophe?
Well, it depends on what phase of it you're talking about. I would say that within the next day or two, we will have wrapped up our part of it, the fire department's part, and then there'll be several months, I would imagine, of investigations, and it's going to be a while before that section of bridge is rebuilt. I would say, again, I'm not an engineer, but just knowing, traveling around and watching construction, that's probably going to be a couple years before that section of bridge is back up.
Do you have any idea how many rescuers were down there pulling people from rescuing people and from what departments, and how far did people come to help?
Well, I saw vehicles, fire vehicles and police vehicles from all over the Twin Cities area within an hour after the incident, which is our mutual aid partners. They were there for us right away. Minneapolis Fire has 26 fire trucks. We had 22 of them at that scene within 45 minutes. Most of them within the first 15 minutes. We always keep a few back. There's always a impulse. Every firefighter wants to be there, but we do have other things that happen in the city. Even when there's an event of this scope, we have to remember that there's 400,000 people in this city that need service as well. So, but there was tremendous response from our mutual aid partners. And it was very well coordinated, which is unusual for an event this size.
Do you remember anything where there's been a response this large, event, catastrophe event, response this large?
Not in Minneapolis, and at least recently. I've been here 21 years, and we haven't had any event this large in this city. I was down in Katrina in New Orleans, and of course that was a huge scope event. But for us, this is a big deal.
We have one more phone number. I just wanted to also let you know there is one phone number for families and victims, and it is the Red Cross General phone number, and that's 612-871-7676. We have people standing by answering the phone, so be patient, and if you need information just about family and victims and things like that, there'll be some comforting people on the other end of that line.
Do you plan any more updates for tonight, or is this going to be it?
Sure. Yeah, not anymore.
I suspect that we probably will not. We may have more information that we can provide, but I don't suspect that we're going to have a lot of new updates. I don't believe so.
Thank you. So this would be it for tonight.
Just two other questions, don't mind. In terms of...
You've been listening to Jim Clark, the Minneapolis fire chief, as well as others from the Red Cross, talking the latest information. The sad death toll has increased now, 7 confirmed fatalities, and according to the chief of the fire department, that number is expected to rise. They have at this point stopped river operations. The video you're seeing right now was taken earlier while there was still light. It is simply too dangerous to keep having people, divers, go into the water. There's a lot of debris in the water, a lot of twisted steel and metal and concrete. It is simply too dangerous. They're going to resume that at daylight, they said. Some operations are continuing on the bridge or parts of the bridge, but they're winding those operations down. Again, there are serious structural questions that remain about the integrity of what remains of this bridge. We talked to the city manager, City Emergency Management Office earlier, who talked about they had engineers from the Army Corps of Engineers as well as from the city and the state who were examining parts of the bridge in order for rescue workers to be able to go back onto the bridge. But at this point, they say they're going to be winding down those operations. They do want very hard to make sure they do not hurt any of the rescue workers at this point. They still need to search what they call the void spaces where the bridge is, part of the bridge has collapsed on another part of the bridge. It is very difficult to do that at night in the conditions they are now facing. And Jim Clark, the fire chief, says that the likelihood is getting fairly slim of finding any more survivors. Dave Peters now is joining us. He's the news editor with Internet Broadcasting. He joins us now from the scene. Dave, it is dark there. It is hard to see. What are you seeing?
Well, right now, yeah, it's dark, and so it's tough to see what's down there anymore. There's a lot of bright lights where workers are still at the scene. I'm upriver from the scene right now, about a half a mile. Police have shooed people back. There are a lot of bridges over the Mississippi through Minneapolis, and there were literally thousands of people standing out on them trying to get a better idea of what was happening. Lots of ambulances going in and out for quite some time.
Have you talked to people who were on the bridge when it fell?
No, I haven't. I was on my way. I live about 2 blocks from where the bridge collapsed, and I was on my way from work heading toward that bridge and got here about, I suppose, an hour through traffic after it happened.
And at the point that you got there, what did you witness?
Well, by that time, all the traffic had been shut off. There were emergency vehicles descending on the scene, lots and lots of people around. I mean, one of the reasons this is, aside from the tragedy, one of the reasons this is such a huge deal here is this is in the heart of Minneapolis. There are a lot of bridges over the Mississippi, but this was the biggest one of all. Thousands and thousands of cars every day. Everybody commutes on this. This is the main thoroughfare from Duluth to Texas. And it's just a huge hole right in the middle of Minneapolis. It's the historic part of the town, connecting near where the University of Minnesota is with downtown, the Metrodome, and the central downtown. So it's a huge gaping absence now. You look down the river and to see nothing where that massive single arch deck was is stunning.
Dave Peters, appreciate you joining us from the scene. Ian Punnett is joining us as well. He's with FM 107. He's been with us for much of these last hour and a half or 2 hours or so. Ian, what are you seeing in the location you're at now? Where are you now?
Anderson, I'm actually in the lobby of the Holiday Inn Metrodome, where they are taking the families of people who are concerned about loved ones. As you may have heard, there's no real central number to call to find out what are the license plate numbers of the cars that are submerged, or even details about what those cars are. And so they've set up a location here where the families can gather if they're concerned about people who are missing. We're here in the lobby, and just minutes ago, some family members walked past. They said they weren't talking yet to the media, and they are setting up facilities right now to welcome many more over from the collapse scene to the Holiday Inn.
Ian, we should point out the Red Cross just put out a telephone number for families or victims or people who are concerned in one way or the other. That number is 612-871-7676. That's 612-871-7676. About how many people now have gathered at the place you are?
Well, it's just dozens, but if I can go back to that just for a second, that number, that's terrific that they're doing to offer the support, and the Red Cross is wonderful in these cases. I was working with a woman just a couple hours ago, Anderson, whose daughter travels over that span of bridge every single day, and there was no number to call to find out what the cars were. Did anybody know what the cars were that went in? Her daughter had been not in contact for several hours. Mom had contacted me and asked if I could look for the color of the roof of her car. If we could find out anything about any of the cars that were in the water, called back to her and was able to find that she did in fact get in touch with her daughter, and it was a day that she didn't travel the bridge today, that today was a day off. And so she didn't drive, as she usually does, right about that time on the 35W bridge.
It's got to be such a horrific night for so many families in that area, just waiting for news of their loved ones. It made worse by the fact that, made more difficult by the fact that cell phones were down in that area. Is cell phone coverage now back up?
Well, cell phone coverage became sporadic a little while ago, and they were just asking people to stay off of them. I think that took a lot of the pressure off it. The cell phone coverage was next to nothing there for quite a while as everybody was trying to access it at once. I will just tell you again, here in the lobby of the Metrodome, we're just standing here. I was just looking at a sign that's listed for chaplains services that they're setting up if anybody needs a chaplain down the hallway in one of the ballrooms. On the main floor of the Holiday Inn Metrodome, the families are gathering for whatever it is they need. They're bringing drinks and food and just trying to be with them at this time.
What? How long were you at the scene, and what was the when you left the scene? What was the status? Because the report we have just gotten is that they have stopped. They've pulled divers out of the water, and they are winding down any operations on the bridge. The conditions simply too dangerous at this point.
Well, I was at the scene for several hours, 2 or 3 hours before I left, and attempted to go to the other side and see if I could get a better vantage point on the K-9 units. Couldn't. Came back around here to the Holiday Inn Metrodome, and in doing so, I crossed over another bridge that crosses over the Mississippi, and I was on hold with you at the time you were talking with the structural engineer about the problems with the bridges, and let me tell you what that was like when I'm crossing over the bridge, looking up at that very eerie scene with the lighting that's insufficient for the for what's there. I mean, you can see some of it, but you just know that there's just so much more tragedy that's yet to be revealed. And as I was crossing over that bridge, all I kept thinking is I just really want to get to the other side, as the engineer was talking about potential problems along the Mississippi.
Ian, no doubt it's going to be a long night for you. Are you going to be staying at this location?
I am, and I will be looking for, in particular, for a couple of families that some local listeners of FM 107 have reached out to me to try to find. So I'm right there. I'm doing that, and I'll continue to do anything else I can for you and CNN.
Well, the Mayor Ryback said earlier this will be a tragic night before it is over. It is going to be many dark hours tonight for the families who are still waiting for some sort of word, some sort of information. How organized is the effort at this point that you're seeing yourself?
Oh, it's amazing. And you know what? I heard earlier the Red Cross comment on how terrific the Twin Cities are in a tragedy like this, and this is just what we're seeing. So many services, everybody that's doing it seemingly and working in a fabulously coordinated manner when there's no real, playbook for this per se. I mean, they can rehearse and you can talk about it in theory, but when it happens, it really comes down to everybody is pulled off of every shift. Every police officer I talked to was actually either had a day off or was done for the day and had just come in on their own time. And everybody is doing everything they can to make this, the aftermath of the tragedy, as helpful to the families and as easy on the rescue workers as possible.
Well, you think about those rescue workers who have now been working long hours in difficult conditions, submerged underwater. We've seen those images of that woman with nothing but a rope tied around her waist, doing whatever she can to try to find somebody in vehicles that are submerged. It is remarkable work that they are doing. It is difficult and very dangerous work, and certainly our hats go off to them. Many long hours still ahead throughout this evening. Another one of our iReporters, Steve Dworak, he got to the scene about 15 minutes after the bridge came down. He captured the aftermath on video. He joins us now on the phone with us. Tell us about what you first saw when you got there.
Yes, I arrived probably about 15 minutes after it happened, and I was on the shore of the Mississippi. And I was probably one of the few guys to come up there relatively early. I saw about 5 police officers pull an individual out of the water and perform CPR on the individual for about 15 minutes or so. And it didn't look like the person made it, unfortunately. And then about while I was sitting there, there was a distressed individual who was swimming in the water while the police tried to get him out of the water, and he was searching for his daughter. And he's screaming. I think she went downstream, checked farther down, and he's running around asking people if they saw a little girl between, I think, around the age of 8 or so, with red hair and glasses and stuff, and just looked completely distressed from the whole situation.
Steve, how long did you stay on the scene? The pictures we're seeing right now, you took this with what? Your a cell phone camera?
Yes, I have a cell phone camera that's also a video camera. So I was on the scene for a good 2 hours. And as the time went by, they had moved, the police did crowd control. So when I got there, it was really early, so they weren't doing crowd control at the time because they were trying to help as many people as they could. So I was there probably about 50 feet from the scene, and then they started getting more and more boats. There's dozens of boats looking for people in the water, pulling people from the water and bringing them on shore. And then as the time went by, the police did the crowd control, and they moved people farther and farther back until after 2 hours, I was so far back that I just decided to go home to my apartment.
And the bridge that we're seeing here, I mean, it looks like it's just a jackknife, almost vertical.
It was extremely vertical, and there are pictures also that I took that some of the cars were, halfway up or all the way top, and it was straight up. It's something I was telling my mom. It's something I saw like from a movie. It didn't even, make sense. It's unreal.
It is certainly unreal and sadly all too real. Steve Dworak, we appreciate you sending us this iReport video, one of our iReporters. Stick around, Steve. We'll talk to you a little bit later on. More now on the bus that went down on the bridge, remarkably without any fatalities. Nina Jenkins was on the bus. We're going to try to talk to her in just a little bit. 60 children were on that bus, 60 children and some counselors. All of them safely got off the bus, taken through the rear door. There was a tractor trailer on fire in front of the bus, clearly visible, no doubt, from the bus windows. All those 60 kids were brought to safety. Some 10 people from that bus ended up in local area hospitals. We talked earlier to Josh Wagner, the man who actually had sponsored the bus trip that day. He obviously very thankful that everyone got out of that bus safely. It certainly could have been much worse as you see it. Nina Jenkins was on the bus. She is just 12 years old. She joins us now. Nina, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
What happened today? What did you see?
I didn't really see nothing, but it was like more the feeling because it was because it started out kind of like a little rocky. And then the bus kind of like went up, and then, it just like went up, and then it just dropped. Like, because we went with the bridge, as you can see on CNN, it was like the bus went with the bridge. So then a lot of little kids got hurt. And
so at first the bus seemed to go up?
Huh?
The bus went up first?
It was like, because like a little crack, I guess, so the bus kind of like went up and then went down.
How far did it go down?
Like I could say about it was like a really deep drop off. It was like really deep.
What did you think was happening?
Huh?
What did you think was happening?
I felt like, because it really felt like it was like the bus was trying to because in the bus driver, Kim, it was like the bus, because the bus driver felt like it was shaking, like it was finna break. So then I think what happened is she kind of went a little fast, so then she can, try to get over the bridge, but after that happened, because it cracked, so it kind of went down, and she kind of put on her brake.
How did you get off the bus?
Huh?
How did you get off the bus?
Oh, this man named Jeremy Hernandez, he, because I think he, first saw it, what happened, so then he bust open the back door of the bus, and then he was telling everybody to get out from the back of the door, and then we jumped into the highway, and then we jumped off from the highway onto the sidewalk, and then neighbors were helping us try to get out.
It must have been very scary for you.
Yeah, it was scary. It was terrifying.
It was terrifying?
It was sad because a lot of little kids got hurt, but it was lucky because everybody survived from it. So that was kind of good.
Hey, Nina, could I talk to your mom?
Hmm?
Could I talk to your mom?
Hello?
Hi, Christy?
Uh-huh.
Hey, this is Anderson Cooper. How are you doing today? I mean,
I'm doing okay. How are you?
I'm fine. You're on the air right now. You must have been terrified when you. How did you hear about this?
Nina called me. I was sitting to my desk, and she called me on somebody's cell phone to tell me the Mississippi Bridge broke, and I'm like, it broke? She said, yeah, Mom, it broke in half. I said, where are you? She go, we're on the side at the Red Cross. And then she had to go because other people was trying to call, so I just sat there to try to figure out what to do next. And so then somebody else called me and asked me if I wanted to ride down there to where the children were so I could find out what happened, to see what the situation was. But he already left, so I got my keys and my purse, and I rushed down to the Wake Center. That's where the children be at when they're going for their summer program. And I rushed down there, and people was telling me that that the children were at the Red Cross getting checked, and someone was going to bring them back to the Wake Center. So basically, I just waited there to find out if she was okay. And while I was there, somebody was telling me that the bus driver was trying to get off the bridge, but it wouldn't work, so she had to put on brakes. So a young man named Jeremy, in fact, I know Jeremy. Jeremy kicked out the back door and was helping all the children get off because, you know, they didn't really have a lot of time. So all the children, people were helping the children get off, and Nina was one of those children who got hurt. Well, her foot got hurt, and just got them to the side, and the staff was just trying to keep the children away from the media and get them back to the Red Cross because they didn't want to see the children to see the other cars as they tumbled into the Mississippi River. You know. So,
have you seen the pictures now of the bridge and the bus?
Yeah, I've seen the pictures. I also seen the school bus, and I don't know if you were around in the 1980s when the Skyway Bridge broke. I mean, when somebody ran into that bridge in Tampa, and when that barge hit that bridge and that bridge broke in half and all those cars. That's what I thought about when this happened to this bridge.
Well, have you talked to any other parents? Do you know how? I know there was about 10 people who went to the hospital from that bus. Have you heard if they're all doing okay?
Well, Julie, I'm not for sure. I know her. She's a friend. Anna, I don't know her parents. I know of her. She was pretty bad. And from the people that I know, a lot of these people are like Spanish, so I don't speak Spanish a lot. So from the ones that I know, one of the parents, the sisters was really upset because that was her little sister. So I told them not to worry, things will be all right. But I couldn't communicate to too many of the parents because a lot of them were Spanish.
And how's Nina doing? She seemed okay when I talked to her, but how's she doing?
She's okay. I'm sorry. And we're sitting here still discussing the incident, so I could tell her it was just a bad accident, and if it wasn't for Jeremy, it would have probably turned out differently. So we need to thank him and all the other people who helped with the children, and just thank God that it didn't turn out for the children. I know it turned out bad for other people, but I don't know what else to say. It's just a bad accident.
As you said, it sounds like if it wasn't for Jeremy Hernandez, who had the presence of mind.
I think if it wasn't for his quick thinking, I think a lot Nina and perhaps other people, other children on that bus, we might be experiencing something different right now. So I know who he is, and I got to thank him because it was just his quick thinking. I don't know what he was thinking, but it must have been something really good because he got that door open and got those kids off of there before, it could have turned different.
And you say Nina's foot hurts, or is it okay, or?
Yeah, it's spring, and I gave her some Motrin, and she's laying down now. And I'm going to watch her for a few days because you know how things come up next couple of days.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, other than that,
Well, Christy,
she's okay.
I'm glad to hear that she's doing okay, and I appreciate you letting us talk to her and talking to you. And I know, no doubt, you'll be saying a prayer tonight for all those other families out there still waiting for news about
we definitely will.
About their loved ones. And I'm sure a lot of our viewers will join you in that. Christy, thanks very much. Stay well and stay by Nina's side. No doubt she'll need your company tonight. There is still a lot to be reported on, a lot of information.